Building agents can seem overwhelming, and the objective of the series is precisely to make them approachable to you. In the previous video, we covered how to create agents completely from scratch, that is to say, without any frameworks like LangGraph or LangChain or OpenAI. And the idea behind it was to help you see what's actually going on under the hood. In this video, we're going to be creating what you see right here on the screen, which is a complete agent with a graphical user interface that is capable of calling multiple tools one after another to complete a task. So in this example, I asked it, generate an image of the Chancellor of Germany in 2010 playing the flute. And as you can see, we have the first step where it figured out who was the Chancellor of Germany in 2010 using the web search tool. Then it used the generate image tool once it figured out that it was Angela Merkel to generate this image. And we're going to be building it using Smolagents, a library by Hugging Face that makes it very minimalist and very simple to create agents by abstracting away the things that were a little bit too verbose that we had to code in the previous video, while still showing you what's going on behind the scenes in the agentic loop so that you see really what is going on. So by the end of this video, you're going to have this nice little chatbot right here that you're going to be able to add to your portfolio. And in the coming videos, we're going to be exploring more difficult and sophisticated ways of creating agents, including how to create them with other libraries such as LangChain and OpenAI. So let's get right into it. Okay, so first let's go over the chapters that we're going to cover right here. First, we're going to go over the setup, which is now. Then we're going to initialize our agent. Then we're going to create a tool. Then we're going to use open source tools from the hub. And then finally, we're going to create our nice little graphical user interface for our chatbot. Okay, so for starters, the first thing to do is you're going to have to install Smolagents like this. So pip install Smolagents. And then after that, we're going to have to define our API keys. Since I'm going to be showing you how to do this with both open models from Hugging Face and also with proprietary models, I'm going to be adding my Hugging Face token, then my OpenAI key, and my Anthropic API key, okay? Just as a reminder, if you want your Hugging Face token, all you have to do is go right here to your profile. You go right here to access tokens, and right here, you're going to click on Create New Token. Then you're going to just give it a name, just going to call it Temp2. Click on Make Calls to Inference Provider so that to make sure that this token is able to call our models and just create token. And this is the one that we're going to be using, okay? Same thing for OpenAI and Anthropic. Just go to their developer console and get your API key, and then we can continue. Now we can actually just start initializing our agent. Okay, so now let's initialize our agent, and it's very straightforward. Now that you have Smolagents installed, all you're going to have to do is to import tool calling agent, which is going to be the abstraction that is going to coordinate our tool calls and our prompts. After that, we're going to import web search tool because this is a built-in tool that already comes with Smolagents that allows you to search the web. And we're going to include inference client model, which will allow us to call open source models from Hugging Face, which are, of course, much more affordable than closed models like OpenAI or Anthropic, and you have many more options. I'm going to show you how to select one in just a moment. After that, we're just going to initialize our model. So model equals inference client model like this one. And we're going to pass in our API key that we just got from Hugging Face, okay? After that, you're going to have to take two different parameters. The first one is the model ID that you want to call, and then the provider that you want to call. Remember that inference providers is just a router that allows you to call any model from any provider that has it available. So for example, Grok, Novida, Together, Cerebras, etc. And what we're going to do is we're going to go right here back to Hugging Face, and we're going to click right here on models. And right here, you're going to select the model that you want to use. So I want to go for text generation. That's going to filter for only text generation models like large language models. And we're going to go right here and click on inference available because we're going to be using inference providers. So we only want to use models that are available through this API. And from here, you can select any model you want. In my case, I would probably use Kimi K2 Thinking, but I'm actually going to go for the Instruct version right here. So I'm going to go for Kimi Instruct just to have this demo go faster and not have to spend time on waiting for reasoning tokens. And once you have the model that you want to use, you're going to go right here to compare providers to make sure that your provider actually supports tool calling, because we're going to be using this as an agent and agents require function calling or tool calling. So just go right here and make sure to pick a provider that actually supports tools. And right here, pretty much every provider that we have supports function calling. And right here, you can also see the pricing. And as you can see, it is much more affordable than OpenAI. To give you an idea, this one right here, Kimike to instruct, costs right here, for example, 50 cents and $2 per million tokens on input and output. And compared to OpenAI, for example, it is $1.75 per million tokens input and $14 per million tokens in output. It's ridiculously more affordable, and it will work great, as you are going to see. Right here, you can also take a look at the context window that it has available, the latency, and of course that it supports tool calling. So this is the one that we're going to be using. I'm just going to click right here to copy the model ID. I'm going to come right here and I'm going to paste the model ID right here and the provider. And there we go. So Moonshot AI, Kimike to instruct is the model ID, and the provider is going to be Novida. Now, the next thing to do is to actually initialize the agent. Now, this right here only connects to the inference provider API to be able to call the LLM, but in order to actually initialize the agent, we're going to be initializing it with the tool calling agent class. And then we're going to give it tools. So in this case, we're going to give it the web search tool that is a pre-built tool that comes within Smolagents, as I mentioned before. The model that we're going to be using is the one that we defined above. And now we're going to be able to call the agent like this. So agent.run to call our agent. And I'm going to query it, who is the current president of France? And I'm just going to give it some context as of the current date to make sure that it searches the web correctly. And as you can see, it chose to use a tool call using web search, and the query was current president of France as of December 2025. It got a few observations, as you can see right here. They are logged right here. And then after that, it just responded with the final answer saying Emmanuel Macron is the current president of France as of December 2025. So there you go. As you can see, it is incredibly simple to create an agent with small agents like this. And it is also very educational because it logs pretty much all of the thinking process that goes behind the scenes that we had previously coded from scratch ourselves, okay? And now let me show you real quick how you can run this with other model providers such as OpenAI and Anthropic, okay? Okay, so for OpenAI, what we're going to do is first we're going to have to import OpenAI model from Smolagents, and you're going to just load it like this. So OpenAI model, you're going to pass in your API key from OpenAI this time, and you're going to pass in the model ID from OpenAI that you want to use. In this case, I'm just going to show this to you using GPT-5 Mini. And let me just comment out the other model right here. I'm going to rerun the whole thing just to show you how it works. And as you can see, it started the same task now with OpenAI GPT-5 Mini. Now, in order to run Anthropic, we're going to use also this OpenAI model class, but we're going to pass in an API base, okay? So what happens right here is that this class right here, you can basically modify it to take another OpenAI-like API. And since Anthropic is OpenAI-like, all you have to do is add the base from Anthropic right here. So api.anthropic.com v1, then just add the model ID that you want to use. In this case, let's use Claude Sonnet 4.5 and just execute it, and it will do exactly the same thing right here, okay? Now, I'm going to stick to open models for now, just to continue this demo, but feel free to use any model you want. You can, of course, do your experiments with other OpenAI-like APIs. So let's go to the next part where we're going to create our own tools. All right, now let's create a tool. And we're going to be creating a very fun tool. We're going to be using this open source model for image generation. In case you want to know again, just how to find out good models for image generation, you go back to models. I'm going to go right here to image to text to image. And in case you were not familiar with it, this is the hottest model of the moment for image generation. Super good and super fast. So I'm going to use this one. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use it right here. So what you're going to want to do is to import tool from Smolagents, and this is going to be your decorator for your function that is going to become your tool, right? Remember that in the previous tutorial, we created our function, and then also we had to create our own schema and all that. It was very verbose and a lot of code and a lot of opportunities to get things wrong. In this case, just by adding a very nice little decorator like this one, you have everything done for yourself. And what we're going to do is we're going to create a function called generate image. It is very important to add type hints right here with this kind of frameworks, be it Smolagents, LangChain, OpenAI, etc. All of the agent frameworks do recommend or require you to add very descriptive type hints right here. It is very important to also add a description to your tool, because this is the description that your agent is going to be able to see. And depending on this description, it is going to decide whether or not this tool is useful for its task, right? And what you're going to want to do is you're going to import inference client for Hugging Face Hub. Now, Hugging Face Hub comes with Smolagents, but in case you're not using Smolagents, you're going to have to do pip install. I mean, of course, this is going to go like that, but we're not going to do it right now because it came installed with Smolagents. And we're going to also just add our import OS right here. Since we're going to be pushing later this tool to the hub, we have to add the imports inside the tool for it to work, right? Otherwise, it's going to give us some errors. But if you're not going to be pushing your tool to the hubs, you don't have to import this inside the function itself. And then after that, you can either take a look at right here inside the model card at code snippets to make sure that you're using the model correctly. Here you can see which providers are available. So here we have file, replicate, wave speed. In my case, I'm going to do this with file, and I'm going to be using this text to image method from the client. And that's exactly what I did right here. So I initialized my inference client with my provider file AI, and passed in my API key, as you see right here. And my image is precisely this one right here. So I have my client, I ran the method text to image, passed in the prompt, which is going to be the input to this function, and I say which model I want, which is this one right here, okay? Now let me just show you how it works. I'm just going to test it. Generate an image of the current president of France drinking coffee. So let's execute this and see what we get returned. And there we go. Here we have the image of a random guy that looks a little French, and the model deems that he is most likely the president of France. Now I'm going to show you how to get this a little bit more accurate with agents, but as you can see, it is a great image generation model, and it is super fast. So this is the tool that we're going to be giving our agent so that it is capable of creating images for us. So let's add this tool to our agent. I'm going to go right here, just going to paste this right here. For the tools that are imported from Smolagents, the ones that come by default, you're going to have to initialize them like this, so don't forget the parentheses. For the ones that you define yourself, all you're going to have to do is pass it like that. And let's actually test it out. So I'm going to say the current date, just to give it a little bit of context. What is the current date today? And generate an image of the current president of France drinking coffee. And then just return only the image. And there we go. The current date is this one right here. Generate an image with the current president of France. And of course, the first thing that our model did was web search. So it was like, okay, so who is the current president of France in 2025? It now knows that the current president is Emmanuel Macron, and now it can generate an image of Emmanuel Macron. And as you can see, we have the actual president right there, which is much better than this image right here that we got from just calling the model. In this case, we called an agent who was able to figure out who was the actual person that we were referring to, and then generating the image with the image generation tool. So that is the kind of multi-step thinking that agents are great for. And I would invite you to create your own tools for checking your email, maybe even writing your own emails, or interacting with other services that you currently use that have APIs. All you have to do is put them inside a function and then just decorate it as a tool and add it to your agent. And now your agent's going to be able to help you solve all of these problems, okay? And just very quickly, I just wanted to give you an idea of what you can do with this in the ecosystem of the hub, is that once you have created a tool, you can actually push it to the hub like this. So if you have created a tool and decorated it with the tool decorator, you already have this method within it called push to hub. And you can run it, just give it your username / the name that you want to give your tool, and then give your token right here again. Now, something important to keep in mind is that if you're going to be doing this, your token has to have this write access to contents and settings of repos in order for this to work. And once that is done, you're going to be able to get that tool directly from the hub without having to define it inside your code base. Just a very quick shortcut if you want to use that. And something really cool as well is that you're also capable of using spaces as tools. Now, in case you're not familiar with spaces, spaces are these small apps that live within Hugging Face that are usually for showcasing models, which means that there are already a lot of models that are exposed as spaces, and you can very easily take one existing space and use it as a tool. Let me show you how you can do that. So let's suppose that, for example, you want to use another image generation model. Let's suppose that you want to use Flux. So let's suppose that you want to use this one right here, which is Flux1Dev. And this is a space where you can basically just test the model out. So you can just generate an image from Flux. Something super cool about this is that you can run an existing space like this one right here as a tool. So let me show you how to do that. You're going to go right here and you're going to go from Smolagents import tool, and then you're going to do tool.fromSpace, and then you're going to pass in the space ID like I did right here. In this case, I am using Black Forest Labs Flux.1Dev like this. So you can just copy it like this. You go back right here and you paste it right here. You give it a name and then a description for what this tool is supposed to do. So in this case, generate an image from a prompt, and then just initialize it just like we did before, and just run your agent like we did just before. So I can ask it, generate an image of the current top artist on Spotify playing the trumpet. And just like before, it used the web search tool to get the top artist on Spotify in 2024. And then it used this generate image tool from the space that we imported and asked for Taylor Swift playing a golden trumpet, blah, blah, blah. And there you go. You have Taylor Swift playing the trumpet. Okay. So there you go. This is a pretty good way to test out models and how they would work as tools. So now, as I promised before, let's create our graphical user interface chatbot. All right. Now behind the scenes, what I did is I reinitialized my agent with that Z-Image Turbo image generation tool because Flux is a little bit slower. But everything's the same. So Smolagents actually comes with a very nice built-in user interface with Gradio that you can spin up with just this very quick command right here. So what you're going to do is from Smolagents import Gradio UI. Then Gradio UI is going to take a first parameter of agent, and then you're going to want to reset agent memory to true so that this one right here does not build on top of previous runs that you were doing in your notebook. And then all you do is your Gradio UI.launch. And there we go. Here's my nice little interface that I showed you before. And actually this also spins up a live version of it that I can access just by clicking right here. And here you go. This is exactly what I showed you before at the beginning of the video. And now we can test it again just by sending a prompt right here. So the current date again, generate an image of the current PM of England this time. So let's test it out. It is going to stick to Kimi K2, just like before. So as you can see right here, we have a couple of tool calls. It used web search to get the current Prime Minister of England, and then it used the tool generate image. And then by the end, it gave me the answer right here. So there you go. That is how you can start debugging your agents, scaffolding them, and actually testing them out and showcasing them to other people in your team using Gradio UI right here. I hope that you enjoyed this video. In the next part of the series, we're going to be going into more advanced SDKs and agent frameworks such as OpenAI's and LangChain. But let me know what you want to continue learning about on agents, and we'll be sure to add it to the series. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.